Scal, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. You guys?
Doing great. Hope you had a nice holiday, and we've been certainly following along as best we can to the, well, it's over now, but the NBA Cup here in the Celtics, not going to be competing for it. I wonder, is this something that after last year, losing out to the Pacers, I believe it was last season, is this something they took more seriously this year? Is this something that they care about really at all in that locker room, or is it secondary to the ultimate goal here? Is this something that has been on their mind? Are they disappointed that they're not going to be winning this cup?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably set out to, I don't know. I definitely think it's secondary to winning a championship.
Right.
I don't think these guys are shedding a tear or anything like that about losing, but, you know, it goes back to that Atlanta game and that fourth quarter that we had. Outside of that, even the Atlanta game, I thought we played well. I just thought that Atlanta came in and punched us in the mouth. But outside of that, we took all the games seriously. We tried to win. Joe Mazzulla banged timeouts late in the game to try to, run up the point spread. So, no, I think that they tried to. It's just, the ways that the NBA goes sometimes where you drop a game and that one came back to bite them.
Scal, are you concerned about Jrue Holiday's sort of slow start or this knee thing or anything about his game early in the season?
Not really, only because sometimes when guys go to the Olympics, obviously you make a deep run in the finals, then you go to the Olympics, sometimes you just need a break. And I'm not concerned right now. If this continues all the way into All-Star break, then you could say, oh, well, maybe Jrue's not the guy that we thought he was, or not the next level of a guy like he was last year. He had 26 in an NBA final, but he makes all the sacrifices. I don't see him losing a step defensively. A lot of people would look at that Donovan Mitchell game that's not usually his matchup. He's great at guarding up, not great at guarding down. So Derek White would be a guy that would guard down on the roster, guard a point guard. So I think I still see the big-time plays that Jrue's making. I still see the sacrifice. I know you guys are well-versed in basketball.
That's right.
He goes to that dunker slot. That's a big-time sacrifice for everybody. So I still think what he's doing is still beneficial to the Celtics.
How much better does Payton Pritchard have to play before he sort of insists upon himself as being a guy? I know he's getting minutes, obviously with Holiday out here, Scal, but he is coming off the bench and he's playing so well that at some point, is it gonna be one of those things that settles itself? All right, we have to play this guy. He's too hot right now.
I mean, I think it's a good problem for Joe Mazzulla because I think the Celtics, we got 5 games in 7 nights. The one guy you can count on, Payton Pritchard, he's going to play. He plays all the time, loves to play, and lately delivering. You know he's going to knock down shots. He's going to defend his position. He's making big-time plays. So as far as the next step, being a starter, I mean, I don't know. You're going to upset the apple cart right now. But usually when 6 men of the year or players like Payton Pritchard, take those steps to get to where he's at right now, which, by the way, when I get a minute, I'm going to ask him, would you rather win 6 Men of the Year or Most Improved? Because theoretically, in my mind, he should be up for both of those awards. But the next step, yes, would be Payton Pritchard wanting a bigger role. But that might naturally happen next season. You never know what the offseason is, or you never know when a guy is going to take a different role in his minutes and a way for them to manage their minutes. So right now, Brad Stevens looks like a genius. After the year he had, he signed him to a 3-year, I think it was a $24 million deal, and that looks like a steal for the Celtics right now.
Whenever we talk about Payton Pritchard having a bigger role or being a starter, expanded role, we get a lot of Twitch chatters and texters questioning his defensive ability, saying he'd be a defensive liability. You just mentioned it a little bit, but what do you think his defensive limitations and or ceiling is?
There's no way someone watches the games and thinks that. There's no possible way. There's no way that they can look at Payton Pritchard and watch him play basketball and not have any preconceived ideas because he's a 6'1" white guy and actually think that he can't guard. The dude's a dog. He's a real dog. He sits on guys. He's ahead of guys. I've seen him struggle with 2 players two players where I was like, ooh, this is a bad matchup. Jimmy Butler, who is a bad matchup for all of us at times, playing off 2 feet, getting to the paint, and Chris Middleton in his prime. Outside of that, and that's been a while now, the guy's a dog, man. Like, if people on Twitch or whatever are saying that, they're not real Celtic fans. No way.
Hear that, Twitch?
Yeah, hear that, Twitch? What do you think of that? We're talking with Brian Scalabrine, NBC Sports Boston. Scal, that last game, speaking of Jimmy Butler, he didn't play in that last game with Miami. I thought that the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics were going to be pretty fierce rivals for most of the entirety of, like, the Brown-Tatum era here, and I barely even recognize that team anymore. Do you remember? I mean, it wasn't that long ago where everyone said Miami's got this big advantage. Everyone wants to play there. They can get any player they want. They can sign any free agent. Everybody wants to be down there in South Beach, and I'm watching these guys. I mean, I barely even recognize half the guys coming off the bench other than Terry Rozier. What happened to that team and Pat Riley? Did they just give up?
No, I mean, they've been good, and they've never positioned themselves to have cap space. That's coming, by the way. There's going to be a big push. But, the landscape of the NBA has changed a lot. Supermax contracts, guys extending. It used to be, remember the NBA 5 years ago, or maybe even 7 years ago? You tested the team by becoming a free agent.
Yeah.
And then now, if you wanted to move or get out, now you sign a supermax contract, you sign an extension, and then you ask to be traded now. So the landscape of the league has changed. The idea, name big-time free agents that move anymore. They don't. They all sign. They sign extensions, and then they ask to be moved. That's just a new way of doing it. And by the way, organizations want to sign guys too. Like, let's look at the Brooklyn Nets. They signed Kevin Durant. They go off he wants to be moved. They got 2 really good players. They got 5 first-round picks. They moved Bridges. That Kevin Durant trade ended up being 9 first-round picks, and some of those are swaps, and a decent player in Cam Johnson. So both the NBA player and the organization, they want to lock up star players. Free agency doesn't happen as much as it used to 5 to 7 years ago.
Scal, we're like a quarter of the way through the season here, and I know you watch a lot of League Pass and a lot of games all around the league. What's the most surprising team to you, good or bad, at the quarter pole?
That is okay. So in the East, it's Philadelphia. That's a joke. Like the whole signing of Paul George. No one talks more and does less than the Philadelphia 76ers. Another one out west is it's a shocking development, and you guys remember Dyson Daniels came in, deflecting, stealing. They traded Dyson Daniels for DeJounte Murray, and I know DeJounte Murray has been hurt, but New Orleans Pelicans have been so disappointing. And all we hear about is Zion's hurt and this and that. Like, that is – I don't know what happened to their whole thing. They were trending in the right direction, but now they blame injuries, blame coaching, blame this, blame that, blame Ingram. It's like they're not a real team right now. So those two teams really stand out. I knew Orlando was going to be good. I've been on them for a while. I think they're really good. I think Cleveland's start is amazing. Ty Jerome and the bench is amazing, the way that those guys have played. So there has been some surprises, but, I mean, we don't have to look very far. And I know, like, Payton Pritchard will be offended if I say this, but, man, I just, like, the jump that Pritchard made from last year to this year, it is hard to continue to get better in the NBA, and he's made a massive jump. So there's been some serious surprises around, but, I just think the Sixers and the Pelicans have been so disappointing.
All right, Scal, before we let you go, your broadcast partner has been a polarizing figure, I would say, in the sports media landscape here in Boston. I'm a fan of his. I like Jrue. But even I think at this point he's a little out of control. Would you agree? I mean, like, he's every big highlight, and you're feeding into it. I think you two have this weird sort of symbiotic thing. You try and top each other now. But I mean, like, it's almost like you have like production meetings where you're like, all right, let's see how far we can take it tonight. Is that? Am I wrong here? Or are you guys doing this on purpose now?
As Russell Crowe would say, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I'm very entertained. I'm telling you, I like
a hater.
Even I think it's getting to preposterous levels, Scal.
Ride it.
F you, STFU if you're not, Just enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
All right.
No, I mean, listen, it takes, and you guys know, because you're on radio, I do the radio show, I do this. There's a fine balance between too much and too little, and not everybody, and I'll give you guys credit, you guys can do it, not everybody could be serious, know the game, and be fun, and make people happy. It's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of people that try and a lot of people that fail, but in this business, I think he's doing an excellent job of making people love the broadcast as well as being incredibly intelligent and professional.
All right, very good. Brian Scalabrine, thanks so much for the time today. We'll talk to you again next week.